What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Sleeping Warrior, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, hello, hello. Alrighty then.
Hey, Sleeping Warrior.
Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
Morning.
And Paul Hall as well. Hello, Neil.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hey, Paul.
Hello, good morning. Welcome one and all. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature or Earth curve?
Not even if you hold a degree.
No.
Degree? Is that a knock on the fact that they don't have any angular size measurements in the curve maths?
From time to time, they say they do, but yes, I agree with you.
From time to time? Well, that's the cause of all things, is it not?
Oh, yeah, time causes everything.
Watch what you're saying.
Hey, Arwin, good to have you.
Hello.
Hello.
Watch what you say.
Right, no Earth curve then.
About Sleeping Warriors hangout with Flight to Flat Earth yesterday.
We've
Yeah,
been
did you
trying
watch
to
it,
avoid
Arwin?
talking about it.
Was in
Funning about
chat.
it.
He just denied everything, reasserted his position, and when I tried to talk to him and disagree with him properly, he just, towards the end, he just started over-talking me, and I was just getting a bit cheesed off with him, so... You can't talk to somebody that just refuses to accept that there may be alternative explanations, and kind of a waste of time in one sense, but at least he now realizes that gravity is not a force. That's massive progress for a guy that loves gravity that much that he wants its babies kind of thing. He's definitely changed his position, and that's good.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
You know, gravity regress syndrome.
While we're on the
Always fall
subject,
back.
while we're on the subject, any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
No, can't very manipulate it.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
No, stationary.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Do you know, you need to put seismology in there because seismology gets cited a lot, and that's definitely one of those observational, interpretation-based disciplines, fields of study, but it's definitely not science. So can you please put seismology in with those in future, Nathan?
But does it not only get used for the farcical assertion that we have a molten iron core? Is that not the only thing that it addresses?
Well, no, not really, because that guy that was against Spurs, Anthony Purcell, he's something to do with seismology, and he thinks that gravimeters prove that there is a force of attraction that doesn't even satisfy the current understanding in physics, but he demands that his gravimeters and his seismological studies identify minerals under the ground and therefore prove gravity's force.
Didn't Spurs go through this in terms of its scientific validity? Wasn't that what he got quite angry about?
He did go through it, Nathan, but he wasn't able to conclude the point because the guy lost his marbles towards the end of the point. So I think that he might have missed the point and attacked instead.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No. Nope. I
Any
don't
evidence?
think there
Go
is
on.
a sun. I think it's fake.
I don't think
Just
the sun's
seems like
fake.
a sun.
What are you talking about? I can see it right now. What are you on about?
I don't.
That doesn't make it fake just because you can't see it at this very moment.
Yeah, but as an object, I don't think there is such a thing.
What do
So
you mean
what
by
you're saying
object?
is it lacks physicality.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. What do you mean by object?
Right, exactly.
What do you mean by
Wait
exactly?
a minute. What do you mean?
I don't
by
know.
physical?
I just call it fake just to agitate the baller some more. Because
I
it's
see.
not literally fake, but you could think of it as fake. It's as good as
That's where he
fake.
was going this whole
Yeah.
time. I like it. Fair enough. That was worth the wait. Moving on. Any evidence of a
Wait.
self-perpetuating?
What do you
Go,
mean
go,
by
go.
not physical?
Not physical. I don't know. Might be physical.
There's no proof for it whatsoever.
There's no. Yeah, but does that mean that you've disproven that it's physical then?
But also define what physical is. Don't you have to?
You can touch it. It's got
You have to
physics.
interact with your senses to be physical. The light from the sun
Okay.
interacts with
That's
my
okay.
eyelids, so there's a physical nature to
Well,
light.
if you're talking about a
pedantic,
separated
Paul.
object,
Hold
then
on.
proximity is a thing.
Paul's being pedantic, but correct. Okay, tangible as opposed to physical, meaning you can touch
Tangible
it.
means you have to
physical
touch it,
object.
right?
Yeah, tangible.
I can feel the light. I can feel the heat from the sun with my hands. That's still tangible at some level.
Yeah, but that's not the sun. That's light hitting you. Just happens to be coming from that direction.
So you need to be more specific. You're saying the source of this light and heat. You're not sure if it's physical or tangible. You need to be more specific, right?
Well, I could even go as far as to say I don't even think that the sun is the source of the daylight, really. I think it's just an apparition. Just an effect.
Just to summarise, only because I know what Arwen's saying, because he said it many times before. In other words, that whatever it is, the daylight comes, and as a consequence, we have this point of light in the sky. That doesn't so it's not the other way round, as is asserted, which is to say the point of light in the sky causes the daylight. That's the assumption that we're all under. Well, I can't disprove what Owen's saying. It's only a suggestion after all. But he's saying, well, let's just give it as the complete inverse of that. The daylight causes that spot in the sky to appear. That's what Owen's saying.
Yes. Yes. And I'm very interested for myself to continue that train of thought and see, what I could compare it with, what I could expand it upon. Maybe, some kind of electricity manifested light effect. I don't know. I'm still touching in the dark somewhat as to like how would that physically be possible. But I think that it's just light manifest. It just comes from that direction in the relation to the position on the Earth, and there is a rotation going on of that light manifest.
Well, from a biblical
But then you have to
worldview, there
falsify
might be
that.
truth to
Hold
that.
on,
You've
hold
got
on.
to prove
Because
yourself
Hold on,
wrong.
got two people.
See?
Hold on, go on, Chemo. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah. So in any hypothesis like this, Arwin, as with the globe, so we could all say we're on the globe right now, flying through space, because we see ships, because we have angles, because the shadows all give us the indication that we're on a globe, and that
don't.
gives us a radius also.
don't.
So
No.
so now we have to go about falsifying this.
No, you don't.
And prove that we are incorrect. So, Arwen, if you think the light is coming from not the sun, you would have to show to yourself, not us show to you, you would have to show to yourself that you are wrong. Yes? Do you follow?
No, not at all. What are you babbling about?
So, Arwen's
Yeah.
saying the light
What?
doesn't come from the sun.
No, he's just postulating that the
Yeah.
current assumption is that the sun causes the day to become bright. So there's a physical body in the heliocentric model, a burning ball of gas in a sky vacuum in violation of natural law, and that, as the Earth turns, comes over the curve of the Earth that we don't see and can't measure, and lights up the ground beneath it. That's the general assumption. Now, once you kick all that to the curb, because none of it's valid, none of it's been proven, and a lot of it's based on nonsense like sky vacuums in violation of natural law, you're then left with a blank canvas. Now, Arwen, starting at that blank canvas and going, what if there is a mechanism above whatever the sky is that creates the day? And as a result of that mechanism, we see a focus point of light because of perhaps the atmosphere focusing all of that energy into one point. And that is the sun. In other words, the sun is a result of it. Now, he's just speculating. He hasn't got a vaguest idea, and more power to him. You know, it's good to speculate. It's good to have ideas, philosophize, kick these things around. But he's in no way certain that is what it is. But there's no... Just let me get to the end. I'm nearly there. There's no reason to actually say the prior thoughts of how the daylight works. There's no reason to cling on to that. And I think that's Arwen's point. I might be wrong on that.
Well, you said
you're right. And that was a really good feedback.
Why have I got an echo?
Because Arwen's talking.
Oh.
He's just saying, yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Spurs.
Because you said prove, and science doesn't prove things. It falsifies things.
No, it doesn't. Ugh. Who's giving you this nonsense, Spurs? You were doing so well.
Go on. I'm listening.
Where have you got this from? Where have you got this from, Spurs?
Spurs is having a joke.
Where have you got this idea from that science is out to disprove rather than prove? What's giving you this idea?
I think it's a good idea.
I didn't ask whether you thought it was good or not. So where did you get the idea from?
Well, I was listening to Anthony and Craig yesterday. Did you listen to it?
I've had
catch it?
I've had a précis from Sleeping Warrior.
I call it.
So I kind of understand where they're coming from now. Where we have an idea, just like what Arwen said, right? Now again, you can agree or disagree with this method, of course. But let's say, because they like to start with the hypothesis stage. Now, I already know you have to have an observed phenomenon. I'm not arguing. But the idea to prove your claim, the person's, this method is a good method. Let's think about it.
Hold on, before we move on, who's they and what is it you're trying to prove?
How can you prove something?
By systematic experimentation. That's what science is for. Proving cause.
Yep. And until you get to that point, you're gonna have to try to understand what you're dealing with.
If something is already known, like if the cause and effect already happens anyway, are you saying that you, the individual yourself, has proven what already happens in nature anyway?
No, I'm saying that. Do you want me to take you through the scientific methods?
No. I'm saying that we see an effect in nature.
Yeah.
You're going to say, I know the cause. I've figured out the cause to that when the cause is already it's already a fact, right? So you haven't yourself shown something because it's already a fact. It's already happening.
Hold on, give me hold
on, sorry, let me finish, please. So Arwen hasn't already given us what already is. We don't know if it already is.
He's not claiming this is science. He's not at any stage claimed scientific validity to this. He's just shooting the breeze and giving an idea. It's more a mental exercise to untrain people of this physical assumption bias that Arwen describes. Sorry to put words in your mouth, Arwen.
No, you're right. You're totally right. That is exactly
right
what I'm doing.
Do this. And the only way Arwen can know if he's right or not is to falsify his claim and show that it's not what he said.
Okay, I think I've understood what the issue is. Right. Once you've got a phenomena that you want to know the cause of, you don't say, I know the cause of it. You have a supposition of cause. Your independent variable is what you presume, at this stage not yet validated, caused the effect. Now, when you formulate hypothesis, so at the hypothesis formulation stage, you have two halves to your hypothesis. Now, the first half is called the alternative hypothesis. Now, that is the supposition that you will test. So, if A, that's your independent variable that you're going to vary. If A, then B, the effect that you observed. So, you're going to vary A to cause B. That's the supposition that's yet to be validated in the hypothesis formulation. So, you're formulating a supposition of what you think causes the effect you've observed. If A, then B. That's the alternative hypothesis. There is also a null. The null states the contrapositive. If A, that which you will vary and manipulate, then not B. I.e., you vary it and it does not cause the effect. Now, upon the experimentation stage, that's the actualization of the hypothesis. In other words, it's no longer suppositional. You're going to actually test it. Vary the thing you think's going to cause it. Get your hands on it and make it vary it, right? You're going to do it. And at that stage, you're going to do one of two things. This is what gives science the empiricism that it has. And it's the reason people want to steal it. Because it's empirical. That's powerful. Once you perform your experiment, you're going to prove one of those two statements to be true. Prove. So you either prove your null, if A, not B. You prove it if you vary it and it doesn't cause the effect. Or you prove your alternative, which is what you're trying to do. That's your aim, to prove your supposition correct. Vary A, cause B. That's what you want to actually achieve. But regardless, providing you do the experiment, actualize the hypothesis, you'll prove the null, the default position, or you'll prove the alternative, the thing you're actually testing. You're not trying to disprove your supposition, you're trying to prove it. You don't test the null. You test the supposition. You vary the thing you think causes it, not the null. That make sense?
I mean, how does that work in the real world? How would Arwen test where the light comes from?
He's
What?
not
I'm not there
presented it
yet.
as, I've said this already, he's not presented this as an inquiry that he can validate with science. He's not saying sun phenomena presumed cause machine in sky causing daylight. He's not saying that.
Right. Well, if anything, if I
saying
can
that. That's
ruin the
exactly what he's
moment,
saying. He's saying
then
exactly
I
the
would
same
say
as
that the
globe
sun is an
earthers.
effect.
I see.
And not the
Hold
cause.
on. Let me respond a little moment. Arwen is saying exactly the same as the globe earthers. He has a justified reason to say, it doesn't seem to me that the light is coming from the sun. I have this, and this to reason
Okay,
why.
I get it.
So the
Stop.
globe
Stop.
earthers
Okay,
have-
Spurs, thank you. Arwen, are you in any way asserting this as being true and must be accepted as proof positive of what you are postulating? Are you suggesting that in
Globers
any
don't
way?
do this either.
Hold on.
I'm
The
not
globers
really,
don't-
I
they say nothing
haven't
is
made up my
100%,
mind
remember?
yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm not ready to get to the
Exactly.
hypothesis stage yet.
Gee, thanks, Arwen.
Look,
It's the way
all
to
I
throw
know
yourself
is-
under the bus, Arwen.
Oh, sorry.
It's the
Well,
same
no.
thing as the globe earthers. They're still trying to figure out their universe. They haven't just stopped at the ball. I wouldn't just stop at the light there. Once he gets that answer, he'd want to know more and more and more. Same as the globe. They're all based on that. So that if Arwen now, for example, in his own mind, said, right, the sun's light doesn't come from the sun, and then therefore this, and this, and in his own mind built a narrative based on that, that's what would happen. And if obviously Arwen had the funds to push that and get that in schools, that's what would happen. But it's
Yes,
still an
you're right.
opinion.
Okay,
Globe
don't-
earthers
let's
will
not drag this
say-
out. You're right. Typically, and in the past, I've given Arwen the same lecture. You know, now I give him a little attitude. Why not? He's just speculating. Now, the fact he threw himself under the bus by saying, I haven't decided which one's right yet, well, that's his own problem now, and you can feel free to have a nag
He's
at him.
right,
But
though. He's right. And he's doing exactly what the globe earthers have done. And if we work with this, like as a positive,
What? How?
oh,
publicly
look,
that is
Arwen,
wrong,
you just said you
or
hadn't
could
decided
show
whether
the
it was right
globe
or not.
earthers.
And I've got to agree with Spurs, right? He's had you. Yeah, so, no, you don't just decide. You have actually got a phenomena you're asserting the cause from at this point. You weren't, but I can't save you anymore if you're like, I haven't decided yet. Which
no,
just
I
so
haven't
story, I'm going to...
decided.
Go on.
I meant I'm not there. I'm not even ready to get to any point concern. I'm just trying to figure it out. But I have ideas.
Right.
I have model conceptions.
Oh,
at the
God,
moment.
Darwin, I could kill you. Right. No,
he's
the way
right.
you
That's
figure
exactly
it out.
What
No,
the globe
hold on,
Earth- and this is
Spurs.
my
I'm
point.
agreeing
And this
with
is
you.
why
Ugh.
it's a good way if you have just you, not the world. This is about you as the individual. If you think, well, this is what the cause, well, not the cause, this is what's happening, this is probably the cause. So then now you have to go out there for yourself and prove that you are wrong. And
Not
that's
wrong.
how
Oh, God, I was
journey
completely
would begin.
ignored. Not wrong. So if Arwen's going to actually do what you're now tying him into doing, which is validating his claim scientifically, and based on Arwen's words, there's no reason why he shouldn't. He's observing phenomena after all. Well, if he's going to do that, he's going to follow the process of presuming what caused the effect we're detailing. That's the sun. And then he's got to vary and manipulate that which he presumed caused the effect in a controlled way. That's science. Not, I haven't decided yet. No, you've got a supposition that you need to figure out. That's the only thing that needs figuring out. And if you figure out your supposition, you haven't figured it out as in you use the hypothesis to say that's what's actually happening. You don't mistake the hypothesis for the explanation. It's just a supposition yet to be tested. Now, Arwen at the moment's just got a supposition. Pie in the sky. But if he's going to actually assert it, it's like, well, no, you can then validate it. You've got a method for that. That's what we're talking about.
No, it's clear.
Spurs.
That is clear.
Spurs.
That's what I'm trying,
Spurs.
if you actually look at what you're saying and what's being said, this can be used as a positive. So we could all say, yeah, we're all globers right now, right? So we just need a number. How big is the Earth? They tell us 3959. Okay, so we all agree we're all globe. Now we need to go and show that it's not a globe or that it's not the 3959
Spurs.
miles that they tell
No, we
us.
don't.
Spurs.
We don't have to
Nathan,
disprove
let me
you're begging the
ask you a
question
Let me
with
finish- I didn't get to
science.
finish my point. So last point, 10 seconds. So the whole point of the Black Swan falsifies their model. Over to you.
Spurs.
Need to,
I had
though.
a theory that the medium, the density of the medium might cause an acceleration. I didn't set out to try and disprove that theory because I thought that's what the cause of the egg to move would be. So I did
Hold on,
something.
stop saying
and
again, slow down. Where did you...
Yeah,
say
but I
again,
wasn't
you did
setting out
what?
to disprove something. I was setting out to see if,
No,
it did cause
was
it
your
or not. And it
hypothesis?
did.
Again, rumpus.
What did you see?
Try
what
again,
made
Anthony.
you ask
Just
this
you could
question in the
Spurs,
first-
Spurs, please.
What did I see? Some things appear to float on water, some things appear to sink in water, and other things seem to be suspended within the water. That was my observed phenomena.
Okay. So that's different then. You're not hypothesizing something based on nothing or based on
I'm not.
not a lot of evidence, right?
I'm basing it on the real world. Some things appear to sink, some things appear to float, some things appear to be within the medium. And I wondered whether if I could add a little bit of mass to it, would it influence something and cause an acceleration? So I added a little bit of mass and it did.
No, but a lot of these things that tell us more about. So your experiment is in isolation, isn't it? You just want to know about things sinking and floating. Where Arwen or the Globers,
No, I wanted to know whether or not if I added a
Stop
bit of mass.
equating me with the Glober, Spurs Chemo. Thank you very much.
No, I'm not. And
Yeah,
it's
you
a
are.
good way,
It's like
Arwen.
the
It
fourth
really is
time you
because
said that.
we can eliminate
Guys,
whether you
Oh,
are
but
right.
audio.
Can I just point
Listen,
out-
right, guys. We can't hear each other. This is audio chaos. I know it's Spurs, but you're just gonna have to accept that he will not shut up regardless. Go on, Spurs.
Yeah, Arwen's right, and he should be allowed to do this. Any individual should be allowed to do it.
Do
If
what?
they think something is happening, they hypothesize. See, because all that's happened, Nathan, is that the Globers
And then
have got
do
a
what?
way to test if they're wrong or right.
Okay.
Yeah, but you said you were trying to test to try and disprove your theory, but I wasn't trying to disprove. I was trying to
No, but
see
that's
whether
the
if I
difference.
added a
That's
bit of
why I
mass,
say
would
it's
it
in
cause an
isolation.
acceleration?
Oh,
right?
God. Spurs, please. Can't hear what he's saying.
I was just pointing out, Spurs, that I wasn't trying to disprove my theory. I was trying to see whether or not I could prove that mass did cause an acceleration relative to its medium. I wasn't trying to disprove it. I was seeing if I could prove it.
So you thought it was mass. So you got to say now, I'm going to prove it's not mass.
No.
Why?
How do you prove a negative?
No. That's why I explained the null.
Because where did you get the word mass from, Anthony?
I suppose I'm going to reiterate something I've already explained to you. When you say hypothesize, that is the formulation of a hypothesis. You've got a supposition. His supposition is the mass will be varied and cause the displacement. So he's got the dV, the displacement. He's observed it in nature. What causes that? So he adds a bit of salt to increase the density of the water. That's an experiment. But he also had a null. The null was if he varies the density, it will not displace. That's if A, not B. Now, if you test your supposition, trying to prove it by varying the thing you think's going to cause it, and it fails, you validate your null. That's to say, if A, not B. But that's the empirical nature of having the scientific method with an alternative and a null, because at the end, you get to the point where you've disproved your supposition. You've proven your null. It didn't cause it, but you're not testing it to check if it doesn't cause it. That's not how it works. You're not trying to disprove it. You're trying to prove your supposition correct.
Okay, so again, the black swan was there to what? To prove, to falsify, to show that the globe. So when Mitch or whoever went out there with the black swan image, they were like,
shut up. No, Spurs.
Pardon?
It's not a scientific argument. It's a logical consistency argument.
Okay, so let me just try this again. So if we're told, and we all agree, everyone agrees that the Earth is 3959. We've been throwing that number around for what?
We don't. We've done
because
this once before.
we all agree that what we've been told is 3959.
Spurs, I'm trying to help you. Just keep waffling. No. We don't all accept the Earth. Let's try. This is never going to end, is it? No, we don't accept the begging the question fallacy. Yeah? The fact that they automatically fall back on begging the question just means we've had to take it one step further and debunk their presupposition of R. That doesn't mean that we all accept the premise set out in Modus Tollens. It doesn't work like that. You're being a baller, telling me that I've got to prove R. No, I don't need the black swan.
So what's the black swan?
Spurs! I don't need it. The fact is, every argument they present starts with what you've done. So we all accept 3959. No, that's begging the question. I don't automatically accept we're stood on a sphere. So you can make your argument make sense. Spurs! I don't want to kick you out, right? But if you keep interrupting me, I'm going to have to. I'm trying to help you. You're setting out the example like the ballers, demanding that we all start with the premise that's set out in a Modus Tollens logical consistency argument, because that's how the P statement's laid out. We don't accept that. Now, because they refuse to accept that begging the question's a logical fallacy, and they use it anyway, we've had to go further than just say, no, assuming the Earth is 3959 radius is begging the question. That's why I keep saying no. We won't accept that from the outset. From them, when they start laying out their arguments. That's completely devoid, apart from our isolated Modus Tollens argument, where we set out the parameters of their begging the question fallacy to debunk it with logical consistency, which it does not have. They don't have a sphere-edge horizon. But that's isolated to the Modus Tollens argument. It doesn't suddenly mean that I accept anyone demanding that I accept 3959 radius as an assumption. I don't, and neither do you. You don't need to suddenly accept the P statement and beg the question all over again. For the love of God.
I bet you don't give me half as long as what you've had there. Okay, so you do accept 3959 because we've been using.
No, I don't.
I'm about to explain why. Yes,
I don't.
I know. I'm going to get.
Why are you telling me you do?
You don't.
What the hell's going on? I just said I don't accept it under any circumstances, and I'm not ever going to have anybody lay down an example that utilises 3959 as an assumption at the beginning. Your response is, you do accept it. Are you deaf?
No,
I'm talking about the black swan.
I'm giving my
Are you
opinion.
trying to
and if I
mind
can't give
trick,
my opinion? What is the
to
point of me
Jedi mind trick
speaking?
Nathan, Spurskima?
I don't accept the 3959 that's laid down as a parameter in P to disprove that parameter. That's totally isolated.
Why do you accept then the 1 foot observer? What's that in relation to?
I don't. We disprove it with the black swan.
At 1 foot.
Yeah, at 1 foot, their assertion is that you've got a geometric horizon at 1.2 miles. That's the assertion in P in modus tollens.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
that doesn't mean I accept that premise, because you later
So
go
what
on in
are you
modus
debunking
tollens
it
to
for?
debunk it.
Why say 1 foot we can see further than you're supposed to? The
That's their
horizon's not where it
geometry,
is.
Spurs. They're begging the question. That's their begging the question fallacy, Spurs, not mine. I don't suddenly accept
Yes,
that.
forget it.
Okay. No, I just don't accept anybody ever demanding that I beg the question. That doesn't... Even you, Spurs, won't get away with that. Now, when it's formulated into a logical consistency argument, then you've got a conclusion that doesn't stack up based on the premise. And the premise is their premise that Earth's a sphere, not mine.
Don't really understand this conversation.
And the
Hang
point
on,
is,
hang
the
on.
point
This
is,
was too long-winded
point
to
is
begin with. The argument is
the point
this.
is,
Hang
Spurs,
on.
get his point. Hold on, 10th man. Go ahead, Spurs.
so the point is that we do accept their number because we go out there actively using 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot and saying, well, what you said where the physical horizon should be is not in that place. We're referring to their model. We're not referring to just a random idea that you can see this far or that far. They've gave us a number. And we're saying, well, no, that number's not correct. We have falsified your model by proving the objects are not in the place that... So you, me, all of us have accepted the model. Otherwise, we wouldn't go out there trying to... What's the point of going out there? Why would you even go out there? You came
I
out there
haven't
with me
accepted
to the beach, making measurements, looking at lighthouses. Why? What would be the point of
Because-
doing that?
Because
Trouble
there's
with
an
the
answer.
word.
Because... Oh, God. Never a back and forth. It's always everyone else on the panel deciding that it's their conversation. Because, Spurs, even debunking their logical fallacy of assuming their outcome isn't enough. I've already told you. So we've had to go into their logical fallacy, which they won't accept is fallacious, to assume your outcome, and debunk it from within, pointing out how it doesn't work even when you assume it. So we've had to go even further, because we're dealing with zealots. That's why.
May I say something?
Just let Spurs respond one last time, then yes, 10th. Go ahead, Spurs.
Thank you.
Which is why Anthony begs the question, I will beg the question. In order to destroy, you have even begged the question. You've said, your model says this, meaning I accept that you say your model says this, and I'm going to show you your model doesn't say what you say.
Perfect. I accept that they accept it. Yeah, that's fine.
Right, so you accept the number that they accept.
I accept that they accept it.
Yeah, you don't say it's not 3950. It's this.
Yeah, I do.
You don't come
That's
with your
exactly
own
what
number.
I say.
You have-
Oh, this is driving me nuts.
We say that every day, Spurs.
It's exactly
Can
what
I
we
get
say.
in?
Okay, let's just say it right now. Earth definitely not a sphere. Earth definitely doesn't have a radius value. That radius value that is assumed by fundamentalist zealots, even though it's begging the question, is definitely not the value they give. It doesn't have a value. We don't have a radius. Is that clear enough, Spurs?
No, because we tell them if P. So on the condition that the Earth is this, and we agree if it is this, then we should get that. That's the point of the argument. Anyway.
No, the point is we don't get what it's supposed to have. Not that we're suddenly going to beg the question. That's not the point. My God. Go ahead, 10th man. This is driving me absolutely up the wall.
This is simple. QE's modus tollens, right at the beginning. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then horizon distance measurements must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Okay, so here's the words, Spurs. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959. That doesn't mean I agree with it.
10th, I'm asking you a question. You said if P, then Q. So who's going to do the check-in? Who's going to find out if that's true or not?
We test it. We then affirm. You then get the following part of the logical consistency. Not Q. Therefore, not P.
Who's going to check it, though?
That's what the bloody black swan is. That's what that photo demonstrates.
So you checked it against that number?
Yeah, we've got these oil rigs that demarcate where the horizon is. Their geometric horizon would be at 1.2 miles, and we know it's considerably further because we've got a photo showing it. Yeah, we've checked it, Spurs.
So you checked it?
Yeah, we've checked it. Against their claim of geometry that's a begging the question fallacy. They just don't accept that, even though it's logically fallacious. We have to go even further and physically demonstrate how their logical fallacious statement of an assumed R value is fundamentally untenable based on their own geometry. Yeah, we've got to go that far because that's how deep the zealotry we're dealing with is, Spurs, while you interrupt me for about the 50th fucking time. Dealing with zealots. Even when you point out their reason is fallacious, we still have to go further, Spurs. Zealotry. Look it up.
Okay, so the only way we can know they're zealots and they're indoctrinated is by checking. Checking that the number that they say it is not what they say it is. That's the only way we can know that they're zealots, that they're using a radius of this size. The only way we can ever know any of these things is by what they tell us.
Spurs, let me have a conversation with you.
Now remember, let's look at it like this. If Arwin had his own thought that the sun does something with the light, and then we didn't check, accept what Arwin says, okay, you think this is what happens, and then Arwin said, yeah, this is what happens, and then built a whole narrative based on what Arwin said because we didn't check what he said, this would be in the same problem right now. So you have to accept something to check it in the first place. We say, okay, you think this is what happens. Let's go and verify that. If you thought, not at all, I don't believe at all for 1 second that happened, you wouldn't even bother trying to falsify it.
No, Spurs, stop. No. Look up the word supposition. Just do it right now while Arwin responds. Look it up, supposition, and read out what it says, please. Arwin, do you want to respond to that?
I was just outside for 5 minutes, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
He said you were ace. That's all he basically said. I'm just summarising and paraphrasing. He just basically said Arwin is ace, and I totally agreed with him.
Oh, okay, thanks. I guess. Thank you, Spurs.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No.
Nathan, I put the definition of supposition in chat if you want to have a read.
Chat. What's chat?
Chat.
Thanks.
Okay,
in the live stream
credulous
chat.
belief in supernatural. Oh no, that's superstition. Sorry, supposition. Okay, supposition, a belief held without proof or certain knowledge, an assumption or hypothesis. Yeah.
So, Arwin has a supposition. It's not some story that we suddenly need to hold true and disprove. It's just a supposition.
Yeah.
Don't need to disprove your suppositions, and that's what the scientific method is based around. Proving them.
No. He has a justified belief in this. This is without proof or certain. He has knowledge.
I don't care.
Arwin has knowledge.
I don't care. This is philosophy. It's very interesting. However, science is empirical. Now, your supposition can be validated. Simple. If your supposition causes the effect you've observed, then you've validated it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's it.
Anyway, so Arwin,
I'm
in order to
confused, Spurs.
falsify,
You've taken the Black Swan, destroyed these ballers for a good while now with this argument. I don't understand what you're like. What are you confused about?
He's not
So
confused.
what I've done is taken their model and said, this is the size. Let's agree. Now, if this is true, we should see this. Once they do not see this, their idea is out the window.
Yeah, and typically, Spurs, you shouldn't need to disprove someone's pie-in-the-sky idea about the world. I don't need to disprove Arwen's complete twaddle about what the sun might do. I don't need to disprove that. Now, if he wants to claim it as real, he needs to prove it. The burden of proof's on him, and he's got a method at his disposal to do that. I don't need to disprove it. And it's fallacious to assert that I should have to disprove some just-so story. That's complete fallacy. But that's the situation we're in with the globe heads. It doesn't matter that you point out that their reasoning's totally flawed and fallacious. They still hold it anyway. No, it's acceptable for me to still beg the question. I know I'm on a sphere. I'm a fundamentalist religious zealot. I know I'm right. So then you've got to go, okay, so now I've got to disprove your begging the question fallacy. Okay, well, we'll do that too. And we have. But we didn't have to. We're just dealing with zealots. And that's the lengths you've got to go to with a zealot. Will they still hold on to their zealotry? Oh, absolutely. They're still zealots.
And they,
You know, I mean,
they've
this is-
conceded that they
because you are
presupposed
right,
are in the
Nathan,
first place.
100%.
Mick West conceded that years ago. I mean, I don't
So,
get it.
Nathan. So look, the idea is that, again, you are right. Okay, so you've outlined perfectly why you shouldn't do this, but this is the problem. These ball earthers will not take responsibility for their actions or themselves. Now,
It's not your
just like I
problem.
said to Arwen,
Bloody
Their
evangelist.
problem.
Bloody flat
just
earth
like I said to
evangelist.
Arwen,
That's
just
not
like I
your
said to
problem.
Arwen here.
It's not your problem, Spurs. You're not in their head that you're not responsible for them. That's not your problem.
Yeah, we have to.
No, we don't.
Yeah, it is.
No, I know what's coming.
Yeah,
No,
we
we don't. That's not your business, you bloody flat earth evangelist.
It is.
No, it's not. You don't get
They've
to
been
decide
lied
what I
to.
believe,
You're a
Spurs.
good guy.
Guy,
Satan.
but nah,
Now,
that's
they
not
don't
our problem
evangelize
to deal with.
Nathan,
That's
but
theirs.
that's why I have. So they don't. They won't take responsibility for their own action. Now, remember, I said to
their
Arwen,
problem.
he had to.
It's not your problem, that's their problem. And it causes them their pain. Now, the fact that they've spent the last 5 years projecting that onto you, now it seems you're actually conditioned by them to believe that that's your problem. And you need to find answers for them. That's their problem, Spurs, not mine. I just laugh at them.
The Spurs, are you
No,
pushing a
that's
rope
what-
again?
I'm not going to laugh at.
Spurs,
Like I said, with
Spurs.
Arwen here, we said to
Spurs.
Arwen, this is your idea.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
for you to disprove. So now, if Arwen was lazy and said, no, I'm not going to do that, then if I felt,
Spurs.
okay,
What are
Arwen, I'm
you
going to show
blabbering
you
about?
that your claim is wrong. So we've done that essentially.
Spurs, can I ask you a question? Can I
I
ask you a question real quick,
The Black
Spurs?
Swan- the
Do
Black
you
Swan
feel the
did.
same way about this PhD that absolutely disrespected you the other day, as you just asked him simple questions about scientific method? Do you feel the same way? Do you feel sorry for him or something, as he told
Absolutely.
you to
I mean,
respect his
By the end
authority?
of that, yeah, chocolate. It looked like he almost wanted to end. I mean, I hope he's okay. You know, because his whole entire career has been ruined as a result of this. He was trying to explain the Black Swan.
Go ahead, Spurs.
Who gives a shit? That's his problem.
No, I do. Spurs, can you just repeat your last statement, please?
What did I just say?
About his
About
career?
his ruined career?
About his career.
Yeah, it ruined his entire career. And I'm just looking at this guy and thinking, goodness me, you know, what have I done? So it's not a good, it is, I mean, you just want to tell people the truth. You just want them to transition from globe to flat peacefully, not be like, oh my God, I can't. So as he was looking at the Black Swan, you know, he was completely lost trying to explain the obstruction. So this, for me, this was me falsifying the model with him. So he would have never have done that himself, right? Until I said, hey, look, let's agree the Earth is 3959. We're on a globe. Let's agree with that. Now, if it's not a globe, I mean, you know, this wouldn't happen. How do we? So he couldn't explain any of this. And for me, this completely rocked. And, you know, it's going to reshape the way he sees or debates in the future because he couldn't explain how the physical
thanks,
horizon
Spurs.
was now behind.
Okay, what the bit I wanted you to focus on was something that Anthony and myself discussed this morning, which is to say that if you are amongst the people who've been, you know, in good faith educated in a field that asserts itself to have scientific validity and empiricism, and based on their accreditation at the end, they expect expect people to respect their authority and understand or stand under what they state with authority because they've been educated in a particular field. And what you are doing, and what I am doing, and what Sleeping Warrior is doing, and what Quantum Eraser is doing, and Arwin's doing, and Chocolate's doing, and 10th Man's doing, is relinquishing them of that power by exposing the fact that they don't actually have that which they claim. That would be science. Now, if you are in a position that's got quite a lot of authority and power to assert, based on the science that you say you've got, and we come along and say, well, Mr. Scientist, like you did, Spurs, what's your science then? And their response is to get very angry and tell you that you haven't got any certificates, you should listen to what he says. Well, that's going to potentially affect his potential for earnings, the respect people pay him, things of that nature, things that people hold dear. So he's got a good reason to fight with you, hasn't he, Spurs? And from what you're saying, you're feeling guilty because you recognise that you're taking that away from him.
Absolutely. It was awful. I mean, I'm just looking at this guy's face and I'm just thinking, goodness, you know. But obviously I can't stop. I've got to keep going. I've got to press. I've got to strike while the iron's hot and, you know, just really, push it home. Look, this is not a physical horizon of any kind. And, you know, you're just looking, he was looking more ridiculous trying to explain. He called it a different kind of
refraction of a different character.
Yeah, refraction of a different character, and it was just like
whatever the hell that means.
What letter did he think it had? It's just that's the only character, the refraction that they assume when they assume Earth's a sphere, and the atmosphere, oxymoron, is bent around the presupposition of an R-based sphere. That refraction's only got one parameter. They fiddle with the numbers. That's R. That's the constant R. 7 over 6R, well, it could change to any value they like, depending on what they want to change it to. But it's based on R. So what refraction did he think that they've got? They've only got one. It's terrestrial, otherwise known as standard refraction, based on R. Their assumption that Earth's a sphere, and the atmosphere's bending around the sphere that they assume, at a rate of the sphere that they've assumed. It's the biggest begging the question fallacy. That's why we've got to do what we do. That's why we've ended up with modus tollens. Because all they do is they slap another assumption. I'm going to assume Earth's a sphere. Well, it doesn't work. Well, I'm going to assume Earth's a sphere and light's bending around the sphere. Now, it does work again. Well, you haven't got the geometric horizon to bend the light on. I'm going to assume Earth's a sphere, light bends objects around the sphere at the rate of the sphere, and that same refraction bends the horizon at the rate of the sphere when it's bending objects at the rate of the sphere that I'm assuming. You just end up with this endless diatribe of begging the question, Spurs, until you reach something like the Black Swan, where it fundamentally undoes the model, leaves it untenable mathematically and in reality. And their only response is, we don't have a geometric horizon. Bye-bye, globe. It's absolutely necessitated by the fact you use geometry to prove we're on a sphere. So it's the end of the model. But we've had to go into disproving a logical fallacy because they hold the assumption of R so dear. Well, now they haven't got it. End of globe model.
Again, there's okay. We're coming to a close now on all these things. So I want to ask you something else as well. But no, you're not wrong. Arwin, for me,
I've got to stop you, Spurs. 10th has been trying for 5 minutes straight. Go ahead, 10th.
Spurs. One simple question after a statement. As one of the top 30 intellectuals on the face of the planet, that be you, can you push a rope?
You push a rope?
Can you push a rope, or is it meant for pulling?
Rope? Pull, I mean, how do you pull a rope, right?
It's time for a question for you, 10th man, in response.
Wow.
He's not been around ballers for 5 years for nothing.
Is a rope meant to push or to pull?
Check.
Hey, Babs.
Oh, Babs, please don't check now. Just hold on.
I just want to quickly ask Nathan. Bev has been asking about the top flat Earth debate. So,
I'm talking to you.
He's obfuscating and rumpusing you, 10th man. I'm really
He's
sorry.
He's not going to get away. He's already had the 30 minutes of the show, and we're still not done with the housekeeping, so he's going to get it here. I love you, Spurs. You're a top intellectual on the face of the planet. You got it from a Globie. So now, can you push a rope, or is it meant for pulling?
Pull is just a description. You actually press, apply pressure to the rope, so therefore you are pushing. Remember, it's relative, it's perspective. If you were to, like, let's take a door handle.
Oh God, his word salad won't stop. Weaseling out of a direct question is one of the ballers' best tactics they use, right? Spurs spends most of his time in the company of ballers, so you're never going to get a gotcha on him. He's just going to word salad the shit out of you.
Well, please let me.
I gave you the answer. You're pushing on the rope. You're pressing. You can't have a pull unless you're magnetized.
You can't have a pull 10th. There's your answer.
Unless I'm what?
Check.
Oh God.
Babs,
hey Babs,
don't even
we hear you.
What are the episodes, man?
Babs, listen, that doesn't work anymore. But check, and you come in on my conversation. You wait, I'll get you in, okay? I need your visa, your passport, everything before you come in.
Really, sir? You're really not going to let me speak?
Well, you're not letting me finish with Spurs.
Babs, he's in the middle of a conversation with Spurs, and you're mic checking.
Thank you,
just give it a minute, Babs. Tough man, go ahead.
So Spurs, talk to me now on the really is level. Can you push a rope or do you pull it?
Come on, this is simple.
You've got some psychological issues there, dude. Why don't you just answer it?
No, he's looking at all the different. Spurs is looking at all the different places on the chessboard that this might be leading. The cogs are turning. He's not responded. That's very sensible. He doesn't know where it's going, so he's kept his mouth shut this time. The most sensible thing he's done so far, I would have said, unless he's buggered off for a cup of tea.
Hold on.
Can I just say something?
No, please. Spurs, are you going to answer my question or I'm going to relinquish the Babs?
But it's going to take a while, 10th man. Babs wants to say something in the last few moments. I mean, this will go on for
okay,
it's an either or question. Push or pull.
So it is.
You push.
I'm giving you an out here.
He's saying push. We got an answer. Wrong answer, but he gave you an answer.
All right. Thank you, Spurs. Babs, go ahead. I'm done.
Wait. You push a rope?
I'm at the end of my rope right now.
Show today?
It's Twilight Zone today, chocolate.
When you want to raise the flag on the pole, you push it. You don't pull it.
Spurs didn't say that. You didn't say you pushed the rope, did you? You know what? Forget it. Babs, go, because I can't with this.
Yeah. Oh shit! I almost forgot what I was going to say.
All of that, you don't know where you're going?
No, I know where I'm going. Since we're talking about geometry before, recently we've heard the Globers say that if the sun is moving away from us, it should change in angular size, right? But the only proof of that they've shown to us is like Wolfie 5020s or whatever his name is video, where he shows the sun with a solar. His camera has like a solar filter on it, and he shows the sun not changing in angular size. But if you watch that video, you're going to notice that he zooms in. So he's going to zoom in on the sun and tell you that it's not changing in angular size. That's kind of ridiculous. Wouldn't it make more sense to have your camera on a fixed setting and just like record the sun setting with a solar filter and see what happens rather than zooming in? Like, why would you zoom in on something and say that it's not changing in angular size?
Without being rude, who cares? I'll break that down in a minute. I'm just going to do a couple of shout-outs, then we'll cover that in a second before the live show ends, and I'll ask everyone to stick around if they're watching on a premiering stream. So shout-out to Unitox Femi, who says, Martin Hepworth want to come in to Discord. He no. Nathan, do not mute Martin. He has proofs. Okay? Okay? Thank you very much for the super chats.
Nathan, let me just have the final word.
Go on.
Spurs, are you listening, Spurs?
Yes.
Okay. In the absence of Spurs listening or not listening, I'll just say something.
I'm listening.
He just said yes.
Good. Okay, so Spurs, yesterday when I was really complimentary and I said how well you did, today you came in and totally redeemed yourself. Well done.
No, not at all. Hold on. There's two things, right? I want to break down the not actual size of the sun in a minute. Spurs is surrounded by ballers. All he's doing is parroting baller logic. He's playing devil's advocate. Hadn't you all picked up on this ages ago?
Yeah. But like I said, he's totally redeemed himself from yesterday's brilliant demonstration with Tony Purcell, and then something's gone wrong in his head overnight. He's become a bat again.
This is just how Spurs processes things. Playing devil's advocate, putting the ball aside across, getting our arguments, because then he's going to memorise how he's been defeated. It's not even his argument he's putting across, and he's not even doing that. He's explaining how we have to go into their presumption of R in order to debunk their presumption, even though it's a fallacy to begin with. That's what he's kind of getting. He could have said that in 2 or 3 sentences, but it's taken 40 minutes. It's taken it out of me. But anyway, let's just break out Babs's change of subject, because that's needed, man. Anyway, I'm asking you to qualify whether or not the not actual size of the sun changes in not actual size as it moves from its not actual position. So the angular size, well, that's the thing excluded from the Earth curve calculator. So when you've got a building in the Earth curve calculator, it's a 100-foot building. Doesn't matter if it's a million miles away or right in front of you. It's a 100-foot building. So the angular size, which will change depending on how far it is, would be what they exclude. Now, when they talk about the sun, it's only the angular size because they don't know the actual size. They assume the R value. They assume Venus is the same R value as Earth. Shout out to Christian Huygens. And then they apply Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion to figure out all of the distances and all of the sizes and everything else based on their assumptions of R and Venus having the same size as Earth when that light in the sky is transposed into being a spherical rock like us. So based on all those assumptions, they've got a sun and its size. Now, that aside, they then ask you, why does the angular size not change? Well, what's angular size? The not actual size. Well, who cares? So the not actual size of the sun is not actually changing in not actual size. As it does what? Moves in position. It's refracted position though, right? Their sun's refracted. So it's in a not actual position, not changing in not actual size. Tell me now, Babs, bearing in mind I've just broken that down, who gives a shiny shite about what the not actual size of the sun changing or not changing as it moves from its not actual position? What relevance does this hold exactly? Now I've broken it down.
Right, can I respond to that?
Go ahead.
Well, personally, I don't give a shite if it changes or not, but it should. I mean, if it's moving away from you, shouldn't it get smaller?
What, not actual size?
Yeah, shouldn't its not actual size get smaller the further away it goes from you?
But what relevance is that when it's a not actual size?
The relevance is that it's evidence of a circling sun. A local circling sun.
I don't assert that. Are you asserting that?
No.
Okay, so back to what relevance this holds. Not actual size of the sun not changing in not actual size as it moves from its not actual position. Who cares?
Right, who cares? I guess I just fell for another one of their straw men.
No, it's glad that we got to go through it. Thank you very much, Babs. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A massive thank you to all of you smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you are watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!